Sure. I'm still playing with this at the
Yeah,
moment.
I'm in the same boat as I'm in the same boat in terms of um, I'm happy to just go with the flow
Mm-hmm.
and just see what comes up.
Yeah. It's I'm
See
feeling
what
into
comes up.
there's so many feels, aren't there? I'm kind of like wading, like as I'm just sitting here, I'm kind of wading through like which one wants to come up and present itself first, because there's been so much that's been moving through me. There's been so much of my own personal growth journey, and also everything that's been happening like globally right now has kind of also been coming and sort of opening up new space and presenting like new questions that I've never asked myself about, you know, what's really been going on for a long, long time. And it's exciting to bring it out and to look at it from a different perspective, if that makes sense, because I've not really looked at what's been going on like from this point of view, this kind of real deep injustice that has been going on. Always felt
Deep.
that it wasn't right, but I didn't necessarily have a way to describe it. So I feel like what's coming out to the forefront is really powerful, because I feel like it's kind of giving space for more voice, for more conversation about it, if that makes sense. Like, wow, so much is being opened.
Yeah, that's it feels as if though it's almost we're seeing how rotten the core actually is in terms of leadership, in terms of these networks that I feel like are being exposed, and on multiple fronts. You've got injustice on so many different fronts, but I mean the one that is really last night I'm not even gonna I'm just gonna be open and honest. I shed a few tears, and I just said to my partner, I mean, it's just it felt so raw watching that video of George Floyd, and it's not obviously the first time, but it's been happening throughout US history, but it happens throughout the world. Even we've got it's just that sort of thing just impacts every human being, because it's an injustice to every human being when the justice system isn't there to serve all of us. And I think the energy surrounding that, and the intense rage from humanity at the moment to demand that we have proper leadership and proper forms of justice is only just the beginning.
Yeah. And it's inviting us to lean into what that is as well, isn't it? It's inviting us to lean into, well, how can we bring our power forward to create what we want to see? Like, it's almost an invitation to the power to the people, because it's not working. It's like, fuck, there's so much force right now from us, because it's time for us to step out. And there is a sense of unity that's so deep, that is so core deep right now. I've never experienced this level of like core unity before in my lifetime anyway.
Yeah, I've just got the goosebumps. That is, yeah, that's the feeling of the calling from the human family.
Yeah. Just, yeah, I know, it gives me just I get just like hot. It's like this fire that's igniting, that's so deep. It's like the ancestral energy is coming forward, and it's like I really feel the ancestors at the moment as well. I've been working a lot with ancestors and calling them forward to support this new way of being, because it's also their energy and what they had to go through is now being brought to the front to be healed. So it feels like there's so much support. There is so much support, and calling on our ancestors is going to ignite a deeper fire within us. And that's been my experience working with them. Like, just guide me, show me the way, lead me. Like, let's do this all together. Let's honor what has happened as well.
Definitely. It's that historical context coming in as well, isn't it? In the sense of of injustices, past, present, you know, on all spectrums of society.
Definitely.
I could also, you know, speak just to the energies of I feel like now it's definitely, there's that confirmation that this year is going to be a defining year in human history, but also in terms of what it's bringing forth, the energies, how it's asking, you know, inviting us to change, and even just how much I've changed since the start of this year as a human being. You know, with the influence of both of you, that calling and that discovery of the calling, and facing these hard truths within and shadow, and trying to get to this point of unification within self, to really call in that purpose, or really call in that role, in terms of what comes next, and what my role is next, without also feeling that sense of I have to know right now, because there's that part of me that's like, just tell me, you know, calling in spirit, you know, or calling in higher self, just give me that right now. I really want to know what I can do right now. But I feel like this is more of a process of unraveling, and I don't think this is going to just be right now. I actually think this is the gate opening of Pandora's box, in terms of things that are coming through that aren't going to be going back anywhere until, you know, it really does come up to the surface, as shocking, or as horrific, or as intense as some of these things are. I think that it's almost as if, you know, behind the scenes, someone's like, okay, it's time.
Yeah. And honestly, it's amazing, really. As you said, since we met, we have all come together, like, just amazingly. Like, Linda and I opened up this space called Mama Magic on Instagram because we felt called to do it. And like, I haven't met either of you in person, and it's all just been very much an
It feels like
creation, hasn't it? We've been really working on an energy level, because that's the language we all speak. And it's been amazing to let what wants to happen to flow without having any like rational thoughts or blockages like shut it down. We've honestly just opened up to it, and it's been incredibly nourishing and activating to be connecting at that soul level. What feels good, what feels right, not like what should I be doing, or is this okay? It's like, how does this feel? Oh, this feels good. Okay, gonna go with that and see what happens, which is always how we show up. That is, in our authentic expression, that's how we show up, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yes. 100%.
It feels it I mean, I'm, you know, going to speak on behalf of the energy and the feeling. It almost feels for me that what I keep getting is this sense of becoming, this sense of I've been alive this whole time. I'm 28 years old, but I feel like all those things, or all those previous things that I would have looked at and said, I need to get involved now, or I need to join, you know, I need to join this cause. I need to sort of look at these things, and you know, there's these voices that have been like, oh, are you sure you're ready for that? You know, the shadow saying, are you sure you're ready to jump into those spaces? You know, what if you get lost in those spaces? What if that momentum finds you and you get swept away with it? And it's now that calling to the human cause that's now starting to get to that point where it's like reckless abandon. I don't care anymore. I need to feel like, well, it's not even that. It's the need to contribute is growing stronger by the day.
Mm-hmm.
We are contributing here and now, with these energies, and sending those energies out there. And that's what I said to my partner last night. I said that's a big contribution in itself. But as I said, I feel like there's that sense of growing need to really show up physically as well as spiritually and energetically. So that's something that I think is going to start to unfold on many different fronts.
Yeah, it's really, yeah, there's no more bullshit, is there? It just feels like there's no time for bullshit. No time for being held back or held down by the ego, because your soul is growing in power every single day with these energies that are coming through. It's like there's no time. Like staying small and staying held down by the ego, it's gonna have to come out anyway. It's just the way that it's moving. So yeah, it's like, right, just go. And I mean, I suppose I can say that more for myself. I've always been someone who's been open to doing things, so I that's probably just my nature to jump in and be open. I've definitely found it actually being more grounded throughout this time. So as much as before I would just probably jump into things and just be like, okay, let's see what happens, there's been like a deeper understanding of what I am jumping into being totally aligned. And that's actually something in my journey that I've noticed over the past few months. Like I'm making these decisions not from a place of trying to escape myself, which is probably what I did before. It's like I'm wanting to contribute because it feels really good. It feels right. It feels like I'm in my integrity, which is really important. Bless you.
Sorry.
Bless. That was the clearing.
Yeah.
I was
Thank you,
building. I felt that coming for a good minute.
Oh my God, Linda, I love your t-shirt, just by the way.
I was just thinking that it's actually, it's like its own like it's like alive.
Yeah.
She's on.
Who is she? What's her story?
She's in the mist. She's in the mystic side. It brings all the magic
Cosmic.
and the truth. Yeah.
She looks like a gypsy. She really speaks to me.
Yes. Look. She's
amazing.
the spirit.
She looks like she
Behind
speaks directly to Earth.
Yeah. She's an earth and cosmic spirit. This is just coming now as you've asked me. I've never really thought about it. So she's got the wisdom and the voice and the seeing eyes, the all-seeing eyes, the cosmic downloads and the connection. Oh, look at this blue bit down the bottom. This goes into the earth.
There's the blue. There's the blue coming back in.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, can't see that bottom bit.
Water.
You'll have to stand on the bed.
Get up, girl.
That's who she is. She just jumped in. Plus, she's got all the rainbow-colored sleeves.
Yeah, beautiful.
With all these hieroglyphs or something on them. I don't know what these are. Look, it's a bit of everything here.
I'll never forget the first day I met Linda, Georgina. We went to the Botanical Gardens, and it was just such a beautiful day. But the one thing I noticed straight away was Linda had her peacock pants on. They were amazing. Straight away.
Well, look what I've got on. My feathers came on.
Wow, they're really, really cool.
Ones. Well, no, they're different. They're feathers.
No, these are feathers. Look, they're big, flary American feather.
Yeah, that's
native.
what I'm getting from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They look super comfy as well.
Yeah.
They're super comfy. They're from LA. all the way from LA to this beautiful this American friend that came and stayed with us when I first moved into my Kiora portal. She was having a big clean out from all these funky, wild clothes she got in LA.
I love that.
And they didn't fit her anymore, so guess who got them?
Woohoo!
They're just coming in with her wardrobe, but like presenting a wardrobe.
You know what? It's just, they were just sitting there on top, and they were going, just wear me. And I went, yeah, okay, why not?
Well, they brought in a beautiful energy to this chat.
Really, it's amazing.
I think we all have.
We're honoring
something you said then, Linda, that really struck me was you were talking about, you know, the American friend, but I was thinking straight away, synchronicities, people, you know, meeting people, people coming in at the moment, really sort of, really important to pay attention to who's coming in and who's in our space at the moment, because I feel like more so than ever, the people we're crossing paths with and the conversations that we're having are going to be very much aligned to the greater cause, the connection, the alignment of it all. Yeah, I'm feeling the connections lately between myself and other people have been a lot more authentic.
Yeah.
The conversations have been a lot more centered around the human family rather than, you know, rather than ourselves personally. The conversations are about the collective, and I think that's a really, really important place to be right now, as well as we talked about, you know, feeling that depth within us. But I actually, you know, from my own journey at the moment, I'm feeling that there's that collectives come through my soul, and that's why there's a lot more looking into that, and sort of developing that connection and that intuition and foresight in terms of what's coming next, what I can do, and also responding to the calling.
Yeah, the people, oh my gosh, I aligned so deeply with that. There's been an influx of people who've just like poured in, who are, I'm like, hi, I know you, you know, soul family people who are kind of either showing me something, reminding me something, or like showing up to share in some way. And that's such a joy. That has been such a joy to receive as well. To be open to receiving other people at this time is really powerful. As you said, it's like it's opening our hearts to the world community, and like actually just being there, being present, like not closing off and saying, well, this is where I am and these are my friends, and you know, holding that closed space. Really kind of, oh no, we are one, we are unified, we are on this world together, and who am I here to connect with right now without having any barriers, so that we can support what is happening on a kind of wider scale, because we're all connected energetically, even if we don't see it, we are. So that, yeah, it's been really amazing for me to anchor in with that, and to just open and to stay open as well, to keep my heart open. That's been the challenge, because there's been a lot of emotions coming through, but to remember to just feel those emotions, and to keep the heart open the whole time, and be in that space of vulnerability, which can be uncomfortable, but is really where we can meet one another when our hearts are open. And learning how to just allow the emotions to come through more, and not to identify with them. We've spoken a lot about this, about identifying with emotions. So I've been, you know, really allowing them to come up, to see them, and to not identify with them, to keep my heart open, to close down and be like, okay, now I am this feeling. I'll just become this feeling. It's like when you keep your heart open, you feel everything. That is when you are also in your power, in your strength. And I felt that more than ever throughout this lockdown period, especially. It's been really important for me to really practice keeping my heart open and not having so much kind of busyness around as well. Being much more, you know, being time to go there, which I'm really, really grateful.
Beautiful. Definitely heart open is the way in this moment, in every moment. I think that's the only place we can come from, because it's heart-centered, and when you, on my experience anyway, when I'm heart-centered and come from that space, it's nothing else but what's present. Brings up what's present. Mm-hmm. And whether that's a deep emotion that's coming up, or a shadow to be cleared and loved, or whether that's a deep connection that's been created energetically with someone, it's the most potent and powerful and confronting space to create from and connect with and to, on every level. And I think even if those with the energy that's around now, I think if there's any resistance to that from anyone, they'll be facing themselves off anyway. There'll be a face off.
Yeah, wow.
You know, literally, because the heart's just taken over. And even if one resists whatever's coming up through the heart, it's going to bump us into that anyway. So even if we resist it, we're going to be forced, first of all, through feeling the resistance from the heart and being confronted with a face-off with self. It's the only way I can describe it.
I love that nervous. It's like it's not a nervous laugh, but it's like a laugh in terms of that recognition, because it's so true that the face off is so such a powerful, like, in terms of journey. Every time I faced off with the soul, and I've gone against, I feel like I guess you could say the heart, and tried to come in from, you know, that mind self without the feeling and the connection to the emotion. It's a place of this in-betweenness that sort of that I wouldn't say you're lost, but you're not, you know, you aren't present. You come from either the past, or you're going to the future. But yeah, that presentness, definitely feeling it at the moment, and trying to just to really be in it, in terms of knowing when it's important to just sort of say, okay, I need nothing around me right now. I just need to sit in this silence, or sit in this feeling, and understand it for the depth of it. You know, let the tears flow if they want to flow with that. Let the anger, you know, that anger come as well. But I guess being inside that, understanding it instantly, being present with that is really powerful at the moment, especially with such strong energies. I mean, my rib cage and breathings once again started to become really, I'd say, like labored. I'm feeling this heaviness on the chest, the heaviness of it all. But importantly, I think it's just, you know, needing to be with the breath, and needing to be with those emotions I'm feeling, to alleviate that instantly. Because it's definitely, I'm feeling this surge and a building and a global community that's, you know, the hive, if you want to call it the hive, is starting to leave the hive. and venture out there into places that, you know, there's multiple places to get the honey, you know, and we're leaving the hive in search of that you know, that potential, and it's always been there for us. And possibly, you know, maybe it's just the global oppression and the system that we're under that's really really created this.
Definitely.
I don't feel like this system that we're under at the moment is completely human supporting in all of its forms. You know, I feel like there's a lot of room for a heart-centered way of living, not only just for us, but for the government. And I think they're starting to see that the people are going to demand that.
And I think the energies outside of what we think and are experiencing personally, I think the heart's energy's there. It's there, birthing all of this. This is what I feel personally. And so being in that space, again, that we're faced with it daily. And if we fight it or resist it, it just slaps us, gives us like a big heart slap, you know, in some form, until we really listen and follow what the heart is calling us to release, or to embrace, or to express, or to sleep, or to just allow everything to be what's being presented and what's playing out in the collective field. I think, you know, it's a massive cleanse happening at the moment, and the heart is the only place we can create from and connect with now. It's no longer an ego-based thing, and we need ego, but it's a healthy ego. And if we go against anything else, we're going to get a little bit of a bitch slap, I think. You know, again, faced off with things that we're resisting and things that we triggers that come up for us. That, well, this is my personal experience, and with myself, the people around me. We're speaking about all these changes that are happening to themselves, and they're in total confusion because a lot of them have controlled their life and controlled what they've wanted and controlled what they're doing and what they think they're doing and who they think they are, which was never the real authentic soul. And I think now the authentic soul's coming through and wanting to be speaking through that vessel from the heart, which is what the soul's always been wanting to be while it's been on this earth. Like, I know for me, the things that I held back from sharing when I was a little girl, even with those close to me, just family and friends, to be show up as my true authentic self, even though those know mostly about what I am here to do and what I offer. Even more so on a more truth-based level about if they ask me what's going on or what I think, that's not so much an important thing. It's about what's actually true for me in that moment, that I answer authentically for me in that moment. And I think that's what everybody's coming to now, that place of, well, I'm not going to say yes anymore to please people, or no anymore because that person might get offended. It's about being that, because when we do that, we are inviting that person, whether they know it or not, and ourselves, into a truer form of authenticity. And that's the only way to create from, in a space of being completely allowing our truth to come through without being up there protesting about it and screaming with a big flag saying, no, this is what I'm here to do. It's like, just listen to what that is and say it without expecting anybody to get it or get you, but to answer, to respond from the heart about what is truly happening. What is truly happening? And this is very confronting for many, 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 many people, including myself.
Gosh, does it require courage? Requires a lot of courage right now to
Yes.
to really show up in that way, and to answer exactly as you are in that moment. That's not what we are programmed to do. We're programmed to know, like, you've got to agree with someone to get on, you know, to have some kind of sense of
Like the chameleon.
yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I think we've all known. Well, I've definitely known that in the past. Is this sense of going into social settings and being this chameleon and being purple when people want me to be purple, or blue when people want me to be blue, or both at once. You know.
That's right.
But yeah, it's not. You know, I'm funny enough in this moment. I'm actually studying emotion. Exactly, and I'm studying emotion, and there's so, like, one of the emotions that came up, as I think I've talked about in a previous chat, is shame, and how in the past we've hidden that shame or that embarrassment, or we hide these feelings because we think that it's, you know, it's not appropriate in the moment. And you know you've never seen a chameleon show the color, like, you know, brown, or a deep red, or you know, a pink. You know, people don't usually show those colors, but now it's like, I feel like it's at that point where it's like you just go into a situation and you're like, whatever color I show, that's the color I show, and it's necessary, and the people that see it may not think that it's important or necessary at that moment, or it might not make them feel comfortable, but they're going to go away and they're going to think about it, and they're going to be like, whoa, like, I haven't seen that color before, like, maybe I could be that color, or maybe I could be okay with being that pink, or that, you know, that blue, or however it shows up, in whatever form it shows up, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for me, definitely for me, being a super empath as a child, feeling everybody's emotions and not wanting to upset anybody, because I would feel personally responsible for that, or right.
Or you'd be the emergency emotion worker.
I would agree to save any kind of conflict. So, you know, I would just go along with whatever the fuck was going on to save my soul from being battered, you know.
Yeah.
But now it's really interesting, actually, because as I'm following that, I've got friends and family as well around me are morphing with it, like with much more ease than what I would have imagined it, with a lot more ease and a lot more interest. And I'm not speaking in a way where I'm saying it because this is me or anything like that energy. It's just simply there's
Well,
like
I told you so.
Yes, yeah. I told you
I
so.
told you all along. This wasn't real. I told you.
Yeah. I told you always, since I was 5. No one listened to me.
Do you remember 5 years ago?
And over the years, what used to really trigger me, I have to say this, what used to really trigger me was I'd say things, or, you know, people would ask me questions, and so I would respond in some ways, of course, not all my conversations were around pleasing people, but there'd be times in conversations where people would ask something and I'd speak it spiritually, especially, about what was going on. And we might have had numerous conversations about it, right? And they've forgotten about it. And then years later, they've come out and gone, guess what? I've just learned that this. And it's like, yeah, we had conversations about that years ago. This is me thinking.
And it's hard. It's hard, right? Not to
really
say, do
wanna
you remember
do
when
that.
I told you?
Yes. But Willow, do you remember that conversation? That other fucking
And it's funny, you know, when you were talking before about people, sort of going with this whole flow, this ebb and flow, and you know, this coming in and going out of the tide. That's happening now, but it's like, you know, the waves are getting bigger and bigger. You know, all of my siblings, we all went through what I call like complete breakdowns. And some of us haven't come back from them. Some of them, my older sister, she's still going through a really big change within her whole soul that I feel comes from a different lifetime. But my brother's gone through his, and I went through a really big one on 23. I still feel like I'm unraveling at the bits, and I won't stop. I feel like that's going to be a constant, and I'm okay with that because I'm present with that. And I feel like I'm the wellest I've ever been in terms of, you know, opening up my heart, opening up my spirit. You know, I feel like I'm going in there, and
well,
I feel like it's also it's probably also the alignment that I'm sort of in, or the truth of my being is really showing, or not even showing. It's just coming up from this deep place of existence that it's just, you know, when the alignment's so right that you feel like existence is speaking to you, whether it be a butterfly or a bird that's catching a fish right when you're walking past. Those sort of things, or a flower that you're walking past and no one else would have seen that flower but you walking through the woods, but that flower looked like it was blooming just for you on that day. But back to the flow of things, my sister, who we always together, she's the least spiritual, you know, if you want to say it from that perspective, before
oh my God, so spiritual.
when really we're totes spiritual.
My crystal ball says that we're not spiritual enough, though, that we have a lot more work to do.
And what is spiritual anyway? Yeah, keep going.
Exactly, but even my brother,
Tim, you've gone.
We can't hear you. Are you covering up the microphone with your hand?
We can't hear you, Tim. Might be his battery.
Sorry, it was the ball that came in and threw it all off.
And I've got the light.
Oh, there we go.
There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and so I was going to go back to my oldest. I love it. I feel like I just want to show you my trees that I've got here with us in the room.
I love your quilt as well.
And so, oh, thank you. This was actually given to me, and it's made by a family member.
So beautiful.
It's just got all these different beautiful things on it, right?
There's stories in there. Beautiful.
And so, yeah, my sister, she is going through this deep, profound, vulnerable place of change, and so much so that I'm you know, when you're saying about showing up and just knowing that in those moments, just to show up as you are, or just be a listening ear rather than telling someone what you think they need to do, or what you think we all need to feel. And as I said to her, this is your journey. You'll feel it how you feel it. You'll receive that intuition. And my biggest piece of advice was just connect with self and stay present. But this is your journey, so people can give you advice or tell you what they think, but you will truly know what's right for you.
Yeah. That's all we can do for people. Like, it's because we don't know their journey. We can just reflect the question back to them. So, you know, even if they ask the question, what do? I don't know what to do, or whatever that question might be. It's like, well, I've got no idea about you, but you know, what are you feeling? I think more that guidance, right? What's going on?
The other Linda came in to chat for about 10 seconds. I think it might be your screensaver thing. It comes up when you're in transition. I don't know what's happening.
My screen's right. I don't know.
Yeah, there's another picture of you that's coming up every now and again.
Is there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool. You're welcome, other Linda, to the space. Hello.
Really?
Welcome.
Oh, is it back to normal again?
Yeah.
No, I plugged in. I had to plug in my charger just then. So.
Oh, okay.
So my T-shirt probably popped in, did it? That one.
Oh no, yeah, there's you now. I've forgotten about the T-shirt. No, this was another you. That was your like picture when your video is off. I think that's what it is. When your video goes off, there's a picture of you that comes on.
Oh God. Don't know. How isn't that fabulous in itself? These dimensions, whatever's going on.
It is, and it's all welcome. This is what's so powerful about this space of authenticity, when you don't give a shit and you just allow what's coming through to come through. There's so much more magic, and when you're curious about it and when you're playful about it, that opens up more of the same. So I feel like this is what we all do very well.
Definitely.
Is go from serious talk to fuck it all, like, because there's two sides. There's like the serious and the not serious, and they're always like, they're the same, aren't they? And it's like bouncing off each other all the time. And when we can move from one to the other in a kind of dance, that's when we're really co-creating deeply, I feel. When we don't take ourselves too seriously, but we take ourselves seriously at the same time. So it's like
definitely
parallel.
Humor is at the forefront. Humor has to be at the forefront of everything.
Tell the Dalai Lama story. I love it.
He just, the Dalai Lama's thing that he does the most, that was on repeat the whole time, was him shaking his head and saying, "You Westerners are so serious, so serious." He just laughed at all the questions. He just laughed.
What were some of the questions? Was it like really intense, like deep, like people wanted a whole life story in a minute?
Yes. They'd approach him with this, "Oh, Your Highness," this serious, "Oh, Your Highness," and he'd just be sitting up cross-legged. All his responses were no longer than 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes.
Were people fulfilled?
Huh? People were shocked.
Were they fulfilled with that?
Shocked and fulfilled and gobsmacked, that he would just, and it's like they're waiting for him to say something else. But he's no sooner responded in 10 seconds, 20 seconds, but then he's left you and he's looking over here now and he's going, "Yes, next." And you're sitting there with this serious face, like waiting for more. And he's left you. He's already gone. And he's looking over here. And then this one asks, Your Highness, Your Royal Highness, you must get, tell me you get angry. And he goes with this frown, "Of course I get angry. I'm just human, aren't I?" They go, "Oh, Westerners are so funny, so funny." That was him.
And there's like a row of faces just going. Like as he moves from one to the next, to the next, to the next, like dominoes of just people going.
Yes, it
And it's
really
like
was.
those same people, they probably would have gone back to wherever they were staying and like mapped out the 50 words he said, and then they
Yeah.
mapped them out into a perfect triangle. And thought, oh, that's what it means. It doesn't just mean that. It means this. And it means that. And it means that. Yeah.
But
People are looking
but
for meaning, right?
they're looking for meaning and seriousness. Don't be so serious. You know, he'd always had this frown on his face. Stop being so serious. No, it's not serious. But he didn't you know, the serious questions that were coming in about humanity. But he would not go into the seriousness of their projection. He would just call it for what it was. And call it, but that's the moment of, that's the situation right now, and this is what we can do.
That's very powerful when you like draw in the energy and then you go, it's like the drawing in and then the transmutation of the energy. So you're not being met with someone's like need and you're like, shit, I'm going to have to give that need back, but you're inhaling it and then you're giving out something.
Yeah.
So it's like the inhale and the exhale, isn't it? That is how you can really kind of use your energy. Not to get by other people's shit because it's big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I need my chart.
Didn't bring
Have either
of
of you been to?
And the most interesting part of it was most of the people in there belong obviously to the temples here that brought them in from, you know, wherever they come from, dressed in all their orange robes and things, all, you know, this is Westerners here, were the worst serious ones.
I was going to say, even me, when I've gone to I used to go to a lot of psychics and I used to go to a lot of clairvoyants. Like it was like it almost was an addiction. So it would be like a once every 2 weeks, like once a month thing where I'd be like going to all these different ones and comparing them and saying, oh my God, yeah, that one said similar to that one. And there's definitely this overlapping thing that keeps going on. Anyway, it was like I'd go in there though, and by the end of it, like I don't see them anymore. I don't feel that same need. I feel like I'm proper spiritually. So.
Even that in itself is very funny, right?
Exactly. But it's like I used to sit there in total silence by the end of it because I'd be like, I'm not going to give them an inch. I'm not going to give them anything. So I'd sit there in silence and they'd ask me these questions. I'm like, yeah, no, yeah. Like no elaboration on that whatsoever, just to sort of see what they would give.
How spiritual are you?
But it was this.
I'm going to give you anything.
Exactly. But it was the transmutation of energy that you were talking about, Georgina, and even with the Dalai Lama, that sense that sometimes we go into these big, long conversations or we go into something with this expectation of what we're going to receive from it, or what they're going to tell us, and it's going to change us, or it's going to make us see our own picture a bit more clearer. But I find on my own journey that sometimes it's just been the 2 words in between this like essay of all this giving of energy that really strikes me.
Yeah, the space in between, isn't it?
After that, isn't it? It's ego that's wanting all of that.
Yeah.
Feed me. Tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me that what, you know, I mean something, and
tell
me is, you know, acknowledging that I'm so important in this world.
Yeah. Worth as well, isn't it? Because we're so disconnected from our sense of worth that we're always wanting someone to say, you're enough, you're good enough, here you go. Here's all this brilliant information to just feed you for a second, because it only does when you're needing. You're like, okay, where's more? You're always wanting more, you're always wanting more. But when you
spiritual.
That's where you receive it. Because
tell me I'm spiritual.
Yeah.
It's It even goes back to like these concepts of nature. Like for example, like I was saying about the bird that was catching the fish yesterday. One thing I thought to myself was, it's like that bird's just being in it's an existence in itself. It's going through these motions of survival. It's catching the fish that was swimming underneath the surface. Like all of this was playing out, and it's like I'm no different to that, because I'm only existing when people want to see me unfold. Like I'm a living art. And it's like, maybe all I have to do is live. Maybe all I actually have to do is embody that true nature, and whoever
That's all we
sees
have
that
to
or
do.
appreciates that. Yeah.
Just like the bird, the bird's just flying around minding his own business, needs some food, so goes and gets the food. He's not looking around, checking in who's watching first.
Or like, look at me, I'm about to catch this fish.
Yes.
Wait, take some pictures. I'm not ready. Hold on. Wait. Oh shit. It's gone.
Let me just wipe the brow. Get the water off my beak before I go for the final time.
That would be so funny.
And my feathers are much prettier than yours right now as I fly down to fish.
Yeah. I know, it's nice.
Yeah.
That's really what's coming up, isn't it? In the humanity, what is humanity? And it's like we've taken this stance that we are greater than everything else, as humans, as people. It's like we've totally inflated our egos so much that we're like this huge puff ball, like one of those puffer fish, and it's like, no one else you can jump on and spike you off. It's like, so much that we have to learn actually about what it is to be human and what it is to be part of this cycle of life, because there are so many other birds, energies, animals, sentient beings,
teachings,
that are on the earth and the sky.
And the pufferfish analogy was so accurate, in the sense that we've puffed ourselves so big that we've almost pushed other species off the planet entirely.
Yeah. And we actually have. We actually have. Especially in England and in the UK, it's like, oh no, we'll just kill everything that is wild, that is can affect us, because we are the
but
it.
I feel like if we look at the earth as a being, this oneness, the being, and we are inside that oneness, it's like, I feel like there's this response happening to the collective conscious, as Linda was talking about the collective conscious last night, and this building as we throw out there, so it builds. And it's like it feels like it's building, but I also feel like there's this frequency coming from the earth at the moment.
Oh, all of it.
Big.
It's perfect. It's almost as if, though, this is perfectly orchestrated, in the sense that it's just divine. Everything about it's divine timing.
Well, it's definitely orchestrated, because every planet has its crystal grids, connections to the star seeds, or wherever that's connecting to, whatever crystal grids are connecting to. So we're very funny to think that our little person mind that we can't even see when we're up in space.
Yeah, I know, it's fucking hilarious. It is. It's so bizarre.
And here we are down here trying to define everything.
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Trying to control everything.
I said to my partner yesterday, I said, I need to write a book, because I feel like it would be quite entertaining, but also like it would really probably get a lot of people, in the sense that, imagine if you were out in public one day and someone walked up to you and said, I've been looking for you. And you were like, what do you mean? Well, don't you know you're the chosen one? You'd be like, at first, most people would be like, oh my God, like, what do you mean? Yeah, we've been watching you your whole life. And
Yes.
now's the perfect time, you know. And Ed looked at me like with this sense of awe, and he's like, whoa, like I could feel this sense of worth building in him, you know, in the sense that like he felt like, whoa, like I would feel so worthy in that moment. To think that you're the one that's going to save humanity or be seen by others. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
But, you know, but it's like even you, Georgina, I was saying to Linda yesterday, I was like, wow, like I feel like you're the dancers that I feel like the fields that you're in and the energy that I'm getting from you right now is just, it's so invigorating and it's like so giving. I can feel it from Australia, you know.
That's great. It's just
You can feel it. We can feel
I
it.
love it. But that's how powerful we are, aren't we? We can feel one another.
Yes.
Right now, I'm in England and you two are in Australia, and this energy is incredible. And there is a lot that's being integrated right now. And I feel like I'm on the edge of another shift. And I was actually wanted to ask you two about that, whether you felt like you were ready for some kind of move, whether it's physical or whether it's just generally energetical, because I'm feeling like I'm going, I'm off.
The whole lot.
I'm like, you know.
Is that physically as well, Georgina?
Yeah, physically.
Or just energetically?
Everything.
Or both?
Physically.
Both. The whole lot's happening.
Yeah.
The whole lot. Like what was yesterday is now almost out of my memory. That's how I'm experiencing things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost, it's just delete all of that, because that's not what's happening now.
Yeah.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh my God.
We can be there right now. Let's just work out where we're going to be in 5 years.
Oh my God. It's just gone, isn't it? It's that whole concept of ego and trying to identify with this future ego or this future ideal is just gone.
Yeah.
No, it's just gone. Because it's just now. This is all we can be.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds. It doesn't. Having said that, it doesn't mean we can't plan something.
Yeah.
But let go of that. Move towards that plan or that idea or that thought that comes. But in the process, a lot's going to change and shift and morph in the process. And so allow that as we move with that energy. I always follow the energy. If it's light, the energy's light, even in that direction, I'll go. If it turns heavy, I'll just either move to which way it's light. That's how I navigate. And more, that's what's moving for me, even if it's something that I had my heart set on or my, something that I thought, wow, that's what I thought I was going to do. Okay, all right. And it doesn't mean it's not going to be happening forever if the energy's heavy. It just means just not aligning right now. This is what needs to be worked with right now. And that's where we're having face-offs with ourselves. Well, that's for me.
Honoring that,
Yes.
definitely honoring that. And the question of where I am, if I'm to show up right now authentically, I'll just say I'm the most, I feel like I'm in a wilderness at the moment. I don't know where I am. I don't know how I should be feeling. I honestly, I feel like I'm walking towards the promise of dawn, but I actually can't see the dawn.
Yeah.
But it just feels, I feel like I'm here with all of you, and that's giving me a lot of comfort,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. This is what we do as well. It's holding space for the unknown, isn't it? And feeling like totally like, I don't fucking know. And that is great, because we always think we know. you know, in the past, it's always been like, well, I know this is going to happen, and I know that I'm okay, and I know that I can do this to make me feel this, and I can tick that box, and I can tick that box, and I know everything. When actually we don't, and that's powerful. That wilderness, that is such an exciting way of describing it. I feel like, wow, you know, you're in that wild space of kind of seeing what's presented. If a wolf comes up, it's like, oh my god, there's a wolf, or you know, like other energies, and just being like totally open to that. That's exciting. That's an adventure, or that's how I feel it to be.
Yeah. And speaking to that, I used to fight with my siblings when I was younger, when I was about 16, I'd say. And I used to say, you know, when I'm older, I'm going to get a psychological degree. And as soon as I graduate and I start making good money, I'm not going to talk to any of you ever again. So it was all ego driven, because when you used to fight, obviously you used to want to try and you know, push yourself away from, you know, I'm the grandiose one, and you're not, and all of that sense of ego and that sense of becoming as an adolescent, especially in Western culture. In Western culture, we're taught to push away from the collective at that age, that grand old age, and rebel against the family unit, against everything we know, to become this completely wild animal and come back and reform, and you know, and eventually be one of those conformists that's, you know, sitting there drinking tea or whatever. But you know, in truth, how do we know that that person sitting there drinking a tea is a conformist? We don't. You know, what an awoken one looks like does not have to, you know, as we've been talking, does not have to drink matcha tea. Does not have to drink matcha tea and have this scarf with, yeah, exactly.
The woke ones with the most soft.
Just this mysteriousness that you expect from someone that's spiritual, like when they just come in the room and they just don't say anything, and they're just the person in someone that just is dressed so amazingly. And you just know what they're thinking with a look.
Yeah.
With the look.
Just a look.
The humanity. All about our fucking humanity, isn't it? It's all about just understanding that we're, you know, perfectly imperfect, and that's okay. Like trying to be something that there are so many things that you are. There are so many aspects of you, and that's so powerful to accept and recognize, because that gives you a lot of space to play and feel free, rather than like trying to fit yourself into a box of like, well, I'm this. Because that box is fucking painful, and people do stay in that box. We always talk about this box, don't we, Linda?
Smash it.
Really into this like really small space of the box that's just like here, and you're kind of just like looking out. Or sometimes we do this, and it's like you're looking out from inside the box, and in there, and it's like this is what I know, and it's like, well, actually, if you just start to kind of like that,
open up,
throw the box into the ocean, you know.
the box,
burn it. Some on the fire.
Some don't even have the 2 eyes. They've only got the one. You know, it's like only one. This is like even worse. And all we have to,
you know, like just from there, the third eye.
That's spiritual.
It's like, aren't your 2 eyes here? No, for me, it's here.
Oh my god, imagine if you could get a binocular that was just like this and you walked around and you were like...
That's what a kaleidoscope's for, Georgina.
Oh my god, you just blew my mind. Yeah, she just blew my mind.
We've already got it. We've already got the kaleidoscope here. That's the joke.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
It is the joke. I think I'll get a big drawn here on my head.
Yeah. A tattoo. I thought about a tattoo.
A tattoo.
Yeah. I often used to
you know what I was...
diamantes and things here.
Nice.
All the way up here. Yeah.
You actually just blew my mind, Linda, because when you think here, right, the whole concept of the third eye is because the pineal gland behind this part, because the pineal gland, that's the eye inside the brain, right? Is that what?
That's the
That's
all-seeing
it, yeah.
eye over above the human, yeah.
The pineal gland.
Well, that's what all the cosmic people that were here before the humans, they connected through that. That was the form of communication. There was no words.
Is
Words
that the telepathy? Is that the telepathy? When we're being telepathic, are we totally speaking with our third eye?
Yeah, always back then. And because if you spoke from here, the only thing that used to come out of this was sound, because sound is a frequency. It's a cosmic galactic frequency, and all the spaceships and the communications between the different planetary beings, whatever that is all through a sound vibration. And so
can we try that later?
Huh?
Can we try that later? Before we start off, can we all do like a sound together?
Yeah. Oh, can we do it now?
Yeah.
We can do it now. But that was more potent, and communication-wise, that had more of a high frequency than the words, because the words have been made to suppress us. So there was only communication from here, which was wide open. There's no need for words. And this singing sound was communicating with the outer and the internal of the soul and the system. Yeah, so the words have just compacted everything. So let's do a sound, whatever that is.
Should we count ourselves in?
We can go when we're ready. Just ready. Was that more?
That was beautiful.
Yeah. And the birds joined in outside.
Mm.
The birds joined in.
Thank you for that. That was really beautiful.
That was really, really special. And sometimes words really do fail us, don't they? I've been feeling this a lot recently. Like I can't speak what I'm feeling because the words kind of densify. Is that even a word? Like just they feel really clunky. It's like this is just like like gibberish. What I'm actually trying to say
Yes,
is far clearer.
No, I get it.
Than this, like the sounds that we just made. It's clear. It's like crystal clear. You can receive that. You know what it is. It's a feeling, isn't it? It's a feeling.
Yeah.
Rather than rather than mind, like I'm having to think about what you're saying and then I'm in my head. It's like you're just receiving.
Yeah.
And
yeah, not
beautiful.
Defining.
Just then I felt
because when you
so much was spoken.
You've locked it in. You've decided that's how it is if I define something. And then it's like there's no room beyond that definition unless you are open to just a knowing and a sense of what that is and just be it and embody being.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Linda, like when you were talking about how you asked me if I went for a swim yesterday, and ever since I've moved here, because I told Linda yesterday, after I got back, that I swam in Mother Earth, or I was in Mama Earth, and she's like, so does that, did you go for a swim? And ever since I moved over here, I've felt that calling to like immerse myself in Mother Earth and just really wash myself. Not wash myself, but wash my soul. And bathe my soul in that beautiful energy that is just so ancient, that's 4 billion years old. And I went and my partner was like, are you seriously going to go for a swim? Like, it's cold and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, I don't care if it's zero. I don't care if it's like it's wind. I didn't even have a towel. I didn't even have a towel. And I was like, I just need to go in. There's this feeling. And so I initially I just got in, and I was like, it felt so nice, but I was like, I'm just gonna leave myself wet, because I actually think I'm just gonna go in again, and I don't know if I am, but I just feel that urge to actually go in again. Anyway, on the way there was just this massive seaweed. There was these birds feeding off the fish. It felt so raw and messy, but beautiful in terms of like, people would not want seaweed on the beach when they're going in for a nice dip. You don't want to touch seaweed ever. I absolutely love the feeling of seaweed when I'm in the ocean and a big bit of seaweed sweeps upon me or scares me, or like, is that an octopus or is it seaweed?
That's
anyway,
funny. It's just seagrass. You go, what's that?
I know.
Yeah. Or you chuck it at someone, like, oh, don't talk at me. So I was walking towards the pool, and then this butterfly decided to come and say hello, and then I was like, well, I felt so touched by the bird, butterfly, the day. It felt like the clouds. I was like, there were like ships in the sky, like using the clouds to cloak themselves. It just felt like there was this sense of company, you know what I mean? And then I walked down to the pools where the ocean was just roaring over the top of the pools, like, and I got inside the pool, and the sun was shining on that one corner of the pool, and I was like, I'm gonna baptize myself here.
Yes.
This is a perfect time to just completely go under, and I'm gonna come up, and I'm completely gonna be changed.
Yeah.
Just in this moment, unplanned. Anyway, I went under, and as I came up for the air, I felt that beautiful water. I looked straight towards the sun and just felt completely touched.
Yeah. Baptism is the word. It totally is the word. I say that every time I go in the sea. I'm like, I'm going to be baptized here. And it's so powerful. It's powerful. The kind of, harmony and balance that kind of ancient energy that the water, the ocean holds. It's so incredibly nourishing for us. It just brings us back to this space. Like when you come out of the sea, don't you just feel like totally renewed? It's like all the shit has just been taken, and
I feel present, Yeah.
So special.
I try and swim most mornings. I did actually. Interesting, Tim. You've just moved into Cura. Cura street, right?
Water.
But Cura Street, is it? Cura Street?
It's Cura Road, yeah.
Road, yeah. And so it's right next to the water. And equally, when I started my journey to go down and swim every day was when I moved into Cura. My Cura app was the back gate went straight onto the beach.
Wow.
The back gate. Just the most. Actually, there's a little park we walked through, probably a minute or two walk through the park straight onto the beach. But it was the most sacred portal. So it's interesting. Both Curas right near a beach, and that's when my swimming started every morning. And since I'm living away from it, I still walk down. It's a half-hour walk from here now. So I'm not swimming every morning, but through winter, through everything, through the rain, everything, I'm in that. I'm
You
in
just
the
needed
ocean.
to immerse yourself. And it's funny because I'm not getting any natural sun. I'm not getting any natural sun in this apartment. So it's like, it really makes me feel that sense of I need to go outside. But
really,
it's not, I feel like I'm in like a, you know, when you hibernate and you go into a burrow and you can see outside, but you're not actually getting the sun inside the burrow.
Yeah.
So that's the feeling. But I really resonated with what you said earlier, Georgina, when you said you're feeling the shift of energy, the sweeping of like physically, energetically. I said to my partner, I'm like, I really want to go and live somewhere where I'm not comfortable. Does that make sense though?
Yeah, where you're not
where I'm not comfortable.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Completely new.
Yeah, for sure.
No, you know what I mean? Where I can't connect to anything like based on these presumptions or like, I don't
based
know.
On the
I'm not putting into words right.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Like totally out of your comfort zone, basically, which is so revealing. It's so incredibly transformational. And it's also, when your soul is speaking to you, these are the messages you receive. It's like, really? I've got to prepare myself for that? Fuck, you know, your human's like, wait a minute, but I like where I am. It's comfortable. And exactly, that's exactly how I've been feeling. Exactly how I've been feeling. Like, it's time to get prepared for that space of being totally out of my comfort zone. But when you throw yourself out of your comfort zone, it is actually incredibly nourishing, because you sometimes don't realize when you're in your comfort zone how strangled you feel, how strangled you actually are, because you are, you know, relying on all these things that are really easy, and actually constrict you, they actually hold you back. So I definitely feel, and that's where I am as well. That's where I'm heading, that place of.
So it's really interesting, because when I met Linda used to say to me, when I don't feel the space anymore, or I don't feel connected to the space, I know I need to go. Whereas a lot of people will be like, oh, I have to wait for the right opportunity. I can't do this because of this. I can't do that because of this. And it's like, it's not that I'm happy with the space. I mean, definitely I'm happy, and I feel like it's more of a, like you said, it's more of a building towards that, in the sense that this energy here is so nourishing and as I said, almost hibernating. But it's also, I feel like it's the place of preparation. You know, I'm in a place of preparing.
Oh, oh yes.
The womb, before you're like burst out into like the new light. Whoa,
The next phase.
Yeah.
And I think all of those things, comfort zones and being happy where we're at and everything, is, in my experience, is ego. And I have answered calls when it's called me in the middle of me being. It's come as quite, you know, out of left field. I always say, right out of field. It's like, oh wow. It feels like it's time to go, but I don't want to go. But okay, I'm going to go. Because I want to know what that call is, and I don't feel that call's to be. It could be really confronting for me, but I will follow that. I will follow that, and I've had people over time saying, "Why did you move for like that? Was such a beautiful place you were in, or that was such a I just had a call and it was time to move." A lot of people thought I'm nuts.
Oh, of course.
I've always received way more than what I could have ever planned or imagined.
Wow.
I had planned or imagined it.
Yeah, it is. It's like I was actually to that film Chocolat, where she just follows the wind. Like she's like,
I love Chocolat.
My favorite film. I love that woman. I just like.
I thought it was pronounced chocolate, but
Chocolat.
I always thought it was chocolate.
Chocolate.
Are you just being fancy, Tim?
No, no, yeah, I just know. I feel like the right way to say it is chocolat.
What did I
Right?
say?
Is that
Chocolat.
you said chocolat?
Yeah. It's French. That's how they say it.
Yeah,
Chocolat.
not chocolat. Yeah,
I don't know. Any way you want to say it.
but it's funny. It's funny when Linda, you were saying in the middle when you went to say that. I had that song. You know that song goes in the middle of the night. I'm
yes.
walking in my sleep
Billy
in
Joel.
the middle of the day. Yeah. I don't know.
Actually, that's a really fucking good song. I want to hear that.
In the middle of the night.
It's just, yeah. That's what when you said in the middle, and I was like, oh, she's gonna break out. That's beautiful.
Yeah, all of it's there. It's all there. But I always follow the unknown because people think it's scary. It's only scary because the ego hasn't planned it. But there's a greater plan there for us in the unknown, and a greater richness and a greater offering and a greater life that supports us more than we could ever imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But the scary part is that, I don't know if my ego can handle being out there in that space.
Yeah.
Out of
Total vulnerability.
Like who am I then if I leave this home and my family and my friends and who is that person? I might have to confront me. I might have to have a face off with me. That's what it is. That's what a vision quest is. That a vision quest is you going out and facing yourself in the wilderness, as you spoke about, Tim.
You're in that, Tim. That's exactly what I felt when you said I'm in the wilderness. I was like, oh boy, this is going to be great.
Well, before I went to bed last night, I had this epic, beautiful vision of just being on this cliff, like really high up, and almost feeling like I was sort of like seeing like in and out. I was getting like shards of like, if you want to say Jesus, but for me, Jesus doesn't come so much in this form of a look, but also an energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to be at the highest point of that cliff, and I'm going to feel the sun strike the top of that cliff, and I'm just going to. And that was just a vision I got. It wasn't so much a premonition or anything, but then it was like I keep getting these little shards of visions. Like even then, I also got like a butterfly flapping its wings and like water coming off its wings, and just sort of like sort of once again just being at the edge of this like cliff, like or wilderness. It's like just overlooking it all. Like it just feels like I've been having this happen for probably the last 6 months, but just these profound visions of like the most intricate little processes of nature, like like a little drop on the end of a leaf, or actually being inside the leaf. That's
power.
Microcosms.
That's power.
But Georgina, when you were talking about chocolat, and I haven't watched that movie, or chocolat. I haven't watched that movie in so long, but it's like our lives are sometimes resembling of movies, right? In that sense of, like you're saying, Linda, when you follow the unknown and you go into that total place of vulnerability, and once again, you answer that call to humanity, or I feel like all of this, what we've talked about today, is leading to this sense of needing to go on a journey and trusting when the time for that will be right.
Well, we're on it every day. It's just following that call, even in the house we live in, even we get up with the same clothes that we have and the same food in the cupboard. And it's like follow that unknown. It's like getting up. You do the routine in the morning. The same food you eat every day. It's even that. what else is there for you? So get up and do something different. Go and get some food. It's just all of that even, you know what I mean? In every moment we have this time to connect to that unknown. Like even being in a familiar place can become very unfamiliar if we allow and invite new tastes and new food and new experiences while we're in it. It's pretty wild.
It is wild, and it's like even the movie Wild, Georgina, like that kept coming up into my field when you were talking about that, in terms of like this sense of you know, as we were talking about earlier. I'm feeling this even right now. I'm actually just feeling this hugely profound presence that is like wordless, but it's like if I could try and put it into words, it's like this sense of coming into direct union with soul, existence, meaning. Well, not meaning, but more so like you're touching something that's like not physical. You're immersing yourself in your life is merging with other lifetimes and timelines and like it's just
no words.
It's no words, but I feel like you're all feeling it.
Yeah. I feel it as the cosmic womb. That's how I experience it, that kind of deep, dark place where you're in it and you're held, but you're not sure. Like you're not really sure what's going on, but you're being held by all of existence itself. And it's like we're being asked to really go to that place right now and to get comfortable with that, because it's not now about trying to control. It's about living in that space and birthing what wants to come through. It's not for us anymore. It's not for our little egos anymore. It's for what wants to come through. So the more that we can sit within that space of unknown and be held by life, the more that we can actually act from a place of truth that's going to support ourselves deeply and everyone else.
Yes.
I felt this with we were talking earlier. I was like, the sense of instant gratification that we've been so used to. It's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get it straight away. It's like this is also being challenged because there are deeper energies at work. Like we are going so deep. We are going core of earth deep here. And things are taking their time because that's the cycle of nature. Things take time. And we've got so used to like speaking from ego to ego and being like instant, but it's not about that anymore. It's about trusting that deeper cycle that is at work, and that's going to really support us to come back into wholeness, full wholeness that we so deeply crave. Because when we're getting that instant gratification, again, it's just surface stuff, and it's like you're saying yes to what I'm saying, we're all like happy for a minute, but we're not addressing the deep deep needs of ourselves and of the collective. And it's really important that we also stand strong at this time in that space for whatever is going on with people, and the injustice that's coming up, the oppression, the suppressed emotions, the trauma that is now coming up. It's so important that we don't react instantly in that space of like, I'm going to instantly grab hold of something or get it out there and then I want to receive something. It's like we are coming from that deep ground level, that deep wise and ancient level where we can just hold.
The place that we go when we die.
Yeah, like
it's whole space.
Holding it, aren't we? Where we really are being challenged and asked to hold the space.
Hold the space, yeah.
Hold the space. Witness. Really witness one another and what everyone's been going through. Hear people's stories and not want to write it like we have for so long. Not to be like, okay, well, here you go and now you're better. It's like, no, we're holding this space for people to truly speak, to bring awareness. to witness
to be
that,
yes,
to witness one another, because that is how we truly heal, is to be heard without judgment, without having to like want to say, well, here you go, here, take a pill, you'll feel better. It's like,
it's not.
no, the wild is here to reclaim itself in all of us.
Oh, that's just hit me emotionally. Honestly, it's just like, it's exactly the feeling I was getting yesterday in terms of that human connection. Like, it's like, we're not separate. None of us are. You know, it's like we can that oh.
And I'm going to check out in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to check out in 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
But it's huge to hold space for all of that. That's all people require. That, you know, is holding that space for that and allowing it, whatever form it shows up in. None of our business. It's just let that be. Yeah.
As you said, you know, it's an everyday journey. An everyday journey of accepting, of allowing it to be wild, of holding this space, of letting existence speak to us in every single present moment.
Yeah. And that's uncomfortable for so many. Even silence, even there's some people who can't, in a conversation, if there is a pause. I was having this the other day, a conversation with a girlfriend who's just realized she can finally sit in a pause in a conversation and be okay with it. Whereas before she'd have to feel like a fish gulping for air and having to fill space in case you saw her.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, you know, the pause is powerful. The pause is potent.
It's honoring. Honoring all of this sacred. And that's what we're returning to, learning how to honor one another, because we have not been honoring one another's lives. And that's what's happened. That's why there is such a collective feeling of injustice, because we have not been bringing our true sacredness to one another and receiving it, because we haven't known that. And that's okay. That's been why, because we've been programmed to think that we are separate and that, you know, that everything is difficult. But so much sacredness in this experience, and returning to that every day for me is what is helping me as well to remember honoring the land, honoring people. The conversations I have is, I honor you. Like, amazing to bring this language back into the way we speak to one another.
Yeah.
Like, this is how we can really change, can't we? We can choose. We can choose to speak to people in that way. And if they're going to freak out about it, let them freak out about it. That's fine. They will go away and actually feel something different.
They will. They will. And I think that's the most potent place to be. And I think us having to feel like we needed to be filling space and, you know, is come from those times where we've been suppressed for doing it. And feeling like, oh my gosh, you know, I can't not say something because they might not like me and all that shit. So that it's come from that space, become the unknown way of responding. But now there's a return back to the stillness within, which is the silence between spaces, which is more powerful than the spoken. You know, it's an acknowledgement, it's a presence, allowing that presence to be what it is and what's just been shared to be healed in that space and held in that space. It's potent. I learned that a couple of years ago when I was doing 2 years of shadow work. And we're dealing with so many different personalities in the group. For 2 years we were together. And in the very beginning, the guides that we had and the teachers we had taught us that on the very first day. When someone's spoken, allow that to land before the next one speaks, so that we completely honour that space and feel what's going on. Because the automatic part is everyone wants to have their say before anyone else is finished. So it's this, oh yes, in my experience, oh yes, and me, and it was like that all the time. That's a conversation, you know, and everyone's trying to be heard and have their bit said and done. And there's no listening. There's no
feel worthy. Feel like, you know, like that.
Yeah. There's no listening between the lines and really acknowledging that person for what they've just shared. You know. Yeah. And that's what I feel moving and have moved into, and is empowering beyond what you could ever imagine.
Just as you're saying all that, there's this beautiful love heart that's formed above your lamp on your wall behind you.
Oh,
it's a
me?
love heart.
Oh yeah.
It's beautiful.
That's for us. That's for us because we all here.
The light of love.
Yeah.
The light of love.
It's kind of like that whole Dalai Lama thing of going into situations, especially when you know what they are, you know, and emotions and how emotions has social situations have controlled our emotions and how we should feel and how long we should feel that for, and you know, and how we should actually be conducting ourselves in certain social situations. But you know, going back to the whole Dalai Lama thing, it's like, even with this space, it's like just showing up and being like, I don't know what I'm going to say. Who cares if we're in bed? Who cares? You know, if we're either on either end of the spectrum. But obviously, you know, the journeys, the collective journeys are emerging and morphing. But as you were saying earlier, there's still that personal everyday journey that we're going on, the wilderness that we're treading through, the space that we're being invited to hold all the time. And so that connection that is so much bigger than, it's like, I just got emotional before because it's exactly that sense of that connection, that all supporting connection for all of us that just really sort of, that just like at the moment is just so powerful, but also just so loving and supporting, especially with what's happening at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really powerful to give someone that space. It's a sacred space. And shamans do it in their circles. Allow someone to speak and there's no response required. It's letting that person know that they've been heard. And in fact, you know, sometimes I think Georgina and I have said this, going on lives at times, and I think you and I, Tim, sometimes too, is that I wonder what we're going to say and do. Well, it may be nothing for 5 minutes. It may just be silence, which is powerful.
That's a new learning.
Well, yeah, because people watching or listening there'll be so much going on in their minds. They'll be going, so much will be coming up in that silence.
Yeah, there's not the instant gratification again, is there? It's like a feedback loop. It's like they're only seeing what's going on for them when you hold that space of silence. It's like just experiencing what's going on internally, and that could be so fucking confronting that people will switch off and be like, I can't watch that because it's just like holding the space for their process. And that's incredibly powerful. So presence is really all that you need to heal, actually. There's so much in just being present.
So much, and some can get really fucked off with silence.
Oh yeah.
Okay, fuck this. This is fucked. If they sign out.
Well, there's so
But
anger.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's so much anger around that. Like,
yeah,
so much. And that really shows you what is on the surface of people.
Yeah.
You sit in silence.
it's
and
this
feel.
it's that culture of consuming. It's the whole culture surrounding us of we need to be always consuming, and when we're not consuming, whether it's by material means or energetical means, we start to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because we start to get to this place of actually having to face the nothingness that the silence brings.
Yeah, and face
the void. Well, actually, the void is again an
Face off.
invitation to new life.
Yeah. And if you're not used to that silence, because what comes up in silence is yourself, your thinking, your mind, the face off is there. But people don't recognize it as being theirs. It's just, it's uncomfortable. I might
The
cry.
chitter chatter.
Yeah, the chitter chatter. I'm going to keep busy because I might cry, or you might see me, or I might be vulnerable, and I don't want you to see that.
Oh, I had this dialogue with someone recently, actually, and I know you've got to check out Linda, and I'll finish it on this, in the sense that I said to them, that inner dialogue that you always see. It's funny because this is why we have to sometimes realize that we're only speaking from our journeys and our perspectives, because they were like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, that little voice that talks. It's not separate from you. It is you. And they sort of just looked at me like, "No, I don't understand what you're saying." So it was like I left it at that, and I was like, "Oh, I just mean, how sometimes you talk to yourself out loud and you think you're crazy. Like, you're actually not crazy. It's just you're having that inner dialogue." And I just left it there, because I was like, it's that in itself had really confronted that person. Yeah.
And also, and that's beautiful, Tim, because people are where they're at. And I learned in that class that I was in, which was profound, that to always speak from I, because our assumptions about how we function and how we think and what we say, we assume everybody is the same. And don't you do this and don't you do that? They go, no. It may be that they're unaware of it, but it may be that it has not even in their field, and they do feel differently. They do, their senses are wired differently. So, everyone assumes, there's this assumption. So we were taught to speak and share from the I, because they said, you have no idea of that next person's experience. Their level of sensitivity may be much higher than ours. Their level of awareness may be much higher or lower than ours. They're not there. So that was just a huge bomb for me.
Yeah.
Because, people do speak from, oh, how we all do this, and how we all do that, how we all go down, and we sit and some people go, no, I don't know what you mean. I really don't know what you're talking about.
No, I don't do
Let's
that.
all do that thing, that thing that we do.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. Yeah, you do. That thing that we do. No.
But I mean, it's probably the best intention that some people walk into a room and go, you know what? That whole just listen to what I've got to say. Like, listen to what I've got to say, and then none of you will have anything to say. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I've been in that place before where it's like the intentions. It's a good intention. I don't feel like a lot of those times in the past, before these new learnings came in, I didn't have I had the best intention, but then going away from it, it's like you realize, like, is it the best intention, or is it just my ego that really wants to be heard more than anyone else?
And feel comfortable, isn't it? It's like, I know, but we do this, so, and then you feel all cozy with other people. That's really also what we want, isn't it? Just to feel like we're unified, but which is great, but it's coming from the wrong angle of unified. Assuming gets you nowhere close to
nowhere.
And
in fact,
maybe in a post world. Yeah, and maybe with this new learning, it's like the world is going to start to, and people in the collective consciousness will start to think, okay, let's just hear people from their level.
Yeah.
Let's not try and bring them to any level.
Yeah.
Let's not try and make them look like a certain
Mm.
way to try and fit the mold.
Right.
Like, let's actually just reach them on their level.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's so uncomfortable for everyone, isn't it, though? They really want to put you in a box. They really want to understand you. They really want to feel comfortable, because when someone is relating to something that they've been through and you don't get it, the feelings in your body can be so fucking painful. There can be pain there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know. No, I can't sit with that. And it is amazing. It is amazing to be experiencing this right now through this, through what's going on, and just like hearing everyone's experiences. Fucking uncomfortable. Like, I felt so uncomfortable watching those videos of just the way that people have been treated. It makes me feel so sick. There's a lot that like just triggers in me.
Physically sick.
Like, fuck, what am I going to do with this? But there's nothing.
What's your responsibility?
Yeah.
It's like, to witness it is enough. Just to see that person.
Yeah.
But we always want to do something, don't we? We always want to make it better. We always want to make something, when it's uncomfortable, something else. Mold it into something else, so then we can just put it in a box and say, well, that's done with. But it's all about, like, no, this is just
letting it unravel.
Yeah, we're having to get comfortable with everything now. We're having to see it all.
Yeah.
And
we don't know what that person, it's none of our business other than to be witnessing it and hold a space for greater healing. And we don't know that person hasn't, or situation hasn't risen to activate the greater consciousness, or that they've come in to this place to be that as a to give up their lives in order to activate something new here.
Yeah.
Like, this is
confronting. A lot of
confronting.
that, hasn't there? There's been a lot of that, I think.
Yep. It's free will and free choice here, and none of our business. It doesn't mean we ignore what's going on. We can definitely change our own way of being to assist in the healing of the planet. But in my own journey, I've discovered that the healing and intention, energetic intention from a distance has had such a profound effect. I remember when there were droughts on about 6-7 years ago.
What I said to Ed yesterday.
A group of us sat together and we saw the rain falling around this area. 2 hours later, the rain fell. So we don't know if we had any influence on that, but I know when I use an energetic response to things, it changes.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes, what are we calling in?
You're getting clear with that.
What are we calling out?
I always go to the end result, which is the highest good of everybody, which is I see the earth and the world that justice is already done. And the out is that everybody is living in harmony and peace together, and the resolve is there, for example. So I go to the outcome.
Yeah.
And you hold that space?
And I hold that space where it's a feeling of love, connection, forgiveness, and peace has all been resolved easily and effortlessly outside of what I know.
Yeah.
With the best
I love
intent.
that.
Always outside of what I know.
And that big thing of bigger, better. It's not even just that. It's just the whole concept of holding those spaces and calling that in and really sort of inviting yourself to go there. you know, rather than be in that place of like panic or what can I do now? What am I going to do now? Like, how can I actually affect anything now? Like, I feel helpless. Like, and that's what's been going through my mind over the last week. Has been like, well, am I just going to sit here and watch this news? Like, what can I do with this? Like, what do I have to do now? You know, it's like, how do I show my responsibility? But for me, I have countered that with, I'm calling it in and I'm saying, you know what, you know, allow my purpose to unfold naturally, but also within myself have that ability to surrender to that calling when it comes and follow it and sort of be with that. And that's why I say that wilderness is unknown, but I trust that the things that I need to learn will present. Maybe it's the wolf next, or maybe it's just nothing. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'm just going to walk in silence, you know, for a long time before something comes. Maybe that's what I need.
Which is you anyway, isn't it? Walking in silence, you're with yourself anyway. You're with soul.
Yeah.
With yourself and all the fears and all the excitement and all the strange noises and smells and new texture that your feet are touching and the patterns, and you're still with yourself and the responses to that. So that space is never empty. There's always an experience in that space. And I just want to come back to for a minute, when I say bigger and better, what I mean by that is it's not an ego thing about bigger, more money, more anything. It's energetically.
That's the energy.
Bigger and better than what I know. So I might ask for an outcome where everybody's, come to a space of acceptance of what's happening and they're finding love in their hearts to, this is just an example, right? They're coming from a place of love to say, well, I hope this turns out better than what the war that we're seeing and the conflict and physical fighting and hurt. And it's not bigger and better materialistically. It's got nothing to do with materialistically. It's
the soul.
It's a soul thing. It's an energetic thing. Yeah.
That's what I got from you, though, when you did say it. I know what place you're coming from, but I guess as well it was that sense of inviting bigger knowing, right? Bigger knowing, bigger, better, sort of, you know, in the sense of, you know, the harmony that I can imagine, but even better, possibly, you invite that into, you know,
co-creativity, isn't it? You're open space for co-creative energies, not just you, not just I. It's like everything that is fully present, which is there. And everything is energy
up in the ocean
as well, which is so powerful to come back to and remember that the space of energy creates the physical. So if you are working with the energy, that is where to start to have the outcome in the physical reality. So that's also incredibly powerful. So we're not pushing to gain something physical first. We are feeling energy, which is then going to create the physical. So this is how we can play our power as well at this time, is to stay in our energy and to stay in our integrity and to shine that out, because that will come about as physical. So that's exciting to know that that's something that we can individually do to support what's going on, is hold the energy.
Beautiful.
Hold the energy.
My partner said last night, I can't sleep with everything that's going on. I find that, you know, I can't go to sleep. I feel it all. And I was like, but you know what you can do? I was like, hold that space before you go to bed. And we prayed, we prayed. And God, that I felt that, you know, that energy where it just pulsates through your body and you feel like you're being held and supported in that moment instantly. So I prayed.
It's love. It's unconditional love. It's a space of unconditional love and acceptance of everything is what it is, and there is always something bigger and better energetically in the space of love for everybody. We're all included in it together.
I would love us to finish by doing that, actually. That would be beautiful if we could just sit here for a second with our hands on our hearts and just send out that energy.
Yes.
Together.
Yeah. And then maybe with the sound to complete it after.
Mm.
Mm.
Ah.
Beautiful.
I honor you.
I honor you.
I honor all of us.
Honor self. Honor the world.
The world, the cosmos, and everything beyond.
Mm. And life as we know it. Blessings.
What a gift.
Woo!
What a gift.
See you in the ether.
Yeah. Peace out.
Baby.
May the force be with us all.
It's with us. It's with us. Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
Okay.
Say in heaven, love comes first. Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. Yeah. We've got our own gospel track.
You can do it all.
Much love.
Oh, so much love.
Love.
Mwah.
2, 1. Mwah.
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 Mwah.